Hey, everybody, this is David Slade with the Mile High Podcast Network and one half of the Huddle Up Denver show, Denver Broncos show. The better half, of course. Matt Staffiero is the other half. Um, Seriously, though, I hope everyone's doing well. I'm doing a series leading up to the NFL draft. I'm going to go ahead and review position groups. Going to look at the running back group first. One, I think this is a position that Denver really needs to address. Tight end was another one. Got a little bit of help with Evan Ingram, so we'll talk about that more when we go into the tight end group. Running back group, this is a group that was really running back by committee last year. Our quarterback was one of our top rushers, not the top. Javonte Williams was the top, and he's now gone. So he had 542 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's now with the Cowboys. So you got a void to fill there. You got Estime, you got McLaughlin. Are either of those ready to step up, be the featured back in Sean Payton's system? Nobody really stepped up and took that role as the feature back. They just never really developed into it. Was that because of the system that, Sean Payton's running and he wants to do more running back by committee? Did he not have faith? Did he not have his Alvin Kamara type guy that he wanted, or he needs for his system? So, I think this is an area that Denver will address sometime during the draft. I don't know if it's going to happen in round 1. We'll talk about it a little bit more. I'm going to do an analysis on 5 running backs. One of them is my sleeper for the draft this year. Only 2 of them, in my opinion, are worthy of a first round pick. Other than that, I think it's extremely reaching. So if you're Denver and you're sitting there at 20 and there's not a back there, don't overdraft one, please. Trade back if you want to grab somebody, or you know what? Hey, get somebody in rounds 2 or 3. There's going to be guys on days 2 and 3 of the draft that you can get and bring in here and hopefully help out. So we're going to go ahead and look at the a couple running backs. This isn't 1 through 5. These are just some backs I picked. We'll look at them and then we'll go from there. These are just my opinions. I'm not an expert. I'm not a scout. This is just, doing a little bit of research on these backs, what I think of them, watching them play and things like that. So provide your feedback. I can take harsh criticism. So, all right, everybody, let's get on to the first one. First back that we're going to look at is Ashton Jeanty out of Boise State. I mean, what more do you say about this guy? The guy was insane last year. Great numbers, 2,601 rushing yards, 29 touchdowns, 138 receiving yards, another touchdown. So he had a total of 30 touchdowns. Some of his strengths, great breakaway speed. He has the ability to break a big run at any time, and he did that many a times. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Good center of gravity and balance. The guy's dense frame. He's strong. I'm sure everybody has seen the pictures of him at his pro day. I mean, without his shirt, the guy is just ripped. The guy is put together. So he's a package. He's short, though. I mean, he's only 5'9". So a Barry Sanders type, maybe, hey, and everybody said, had concerns about Barry Sanders, too small, this, that. But look at what he did. Jeanty has good hands for receiving. He just the coaches and scouts say he has naturally soft hands. He has one-cut vision, so great in zone blocking concepts. So some of his concerns, his size presents challenges in blocking. But he sticks his nose in there and he makes the effort. He doesn't shy away from it. So I think he'll get better at that as he works on it. And then another thing is at times he tries to juke a lot, when he's out in open field to set up a defender instead of, just trying to run through him, or run past him. So some other areas that, and my projection is this guy's going to be off the board by the time we pick at 20. I don't see Denver trading up to get a running back. There's just not George Payton or Sean Payton's MO, I don't think, unless they just love somebody. They're not jumping from 20 all the way up into the top 10 to be able to get this guy. So my prediction is that he goes number 6 to the Raiders. I've seen a lot of people have him go there. Seen other people have him go 8, I believe it is, to Carolina. So, but he'll definitely be gone in the top 10. Some of my concerns, and like I said, I love this guy. These are just, some things I'm bringing up. I think has the skill set to be good at the pro level. Just how good will he be? Level of competition. The guy played in Mountain West, so he played in Nevada, UNLV, Wyoming, Colorado State, things like that. It's not like he was running the juggernaut of the SEC or the Big Ten, every weekend, So how is he going to stand up to that physicality of the NFL, things like that. So I talked a little bit about his breakaway speed and his ability to break the big run. The guy had 14 carries for 783 yards. So that's about, 56 yards per carry. I don't know if he's going to be able to have that kind of success at the NFL level where there is more physical and quicker players. I still think he has the ability, and he'll probably break some big runs, throughout his career. But are you going to see him doing it every week? Probably not. So another concern, he put the ball on the ground 4 times last year. He's going to have to clean that up a little bit. Going to be a little more physical in the NFL, so he's just going to have to make sure he cleans that up, and then he just wasn't used a lot in the passing game. Over his 3-year career, he had a total of 80 receptions. 2023, he had 43. He was used quite a bit. I just don't know if it was just the scheme at Boise State, or if they just had better options, than using him. So that'll have to be something where you'll see how he develops as a receiver. But hey, mark my word, this guy's going to be a good back at the NFL level. It's just how good is he going to be? The Boise State Jeanty, or is he going to be, still another 1,500-yard back or whatever in the NFL? So that will be seen. So, but a good pick, definitely will be off the board before the Broncos pick. So next guy, Omarion Hampton out of North Carolina. This guy is a big guy, 6 foot, 220 pounds. Impressive blend of power, quickness, and speed. He's very physical when he runs. He drives through tackles, and he is a good option on screen and swing passes. And he's good in pass protection. So those are some of his things. Some concerns, that scouts have said. He has 1 speed. He doesn't have that 5th gear, like a Jeanty has or something like that. He has a limited 1-cut ability. So he's very limited in his vision and making those cuts. Then he has below average speed, to get out wide, and to get that corner and get out there. So, and as they say, his vision is limited in the open space, as far as, seeing where to go and things like that. So I think he'll be available at 20 unless something crazy happens. I've seen some people having the Cowboys pick him as high as 12. I just think that's a big reach for him. Most people have this guy slotted between probably 24 and 28 on their board. So I think grabbing him at 12, like the Cowboys would be an extreme reach, but that's Dallas Cowboys. You never know what Jerry Jones is going to do. I don't want Denver to overdraft him, and I think picking him at 20 would be an overdraft. I ran several mock draft simulations, and every time I did it, probably 10 times, he was available at 20 every single time. I picked him in a few of those, and I got dinged by the grading afterwards, saying that, hey, this guy, you overdrafted him. You drafted him too high when there was other talent available, better, higher rated talent at positions in need. So don't overdraft this guy. there's going to be guys in rounds 2 and 3 that you can get, Hey, if you really want this guy and you want to scoot back a little bit in the first round, maybe you can slide back between the 24 and 28, and pick him up there and pick up another draft pick somewhere along the way. So, very physical, gifted running back, has a great combination of size, explosiveness, lower body strength. He's very good in a slasher style zone scheme. So that would be a good but it's really dependent on the offensive line play too. He also has the tendency to get impatient behind the line sometimes, and he just wants to take off and head north too soon without letting the block develop or letting the play right out. So that'll be something he has to work on. I think he's going to be a good back in the NFL with the right coaching and the right scheme. So we'll see where that goes with him. So my next guy, and this guy's sort of become a cult hero, I'd say, sort of. And that's Skattebo out of Arizona State, 5'11", and 215 pounds. He's a physical runner and blocker. He has very good vision, feel for blocks in open space. He's very good at receiving. He's experienced doing it. He has good weight and balance to bounce off of tackles. He's in my opinion, day 2 or 3 pick. I think after you get to Hampton, get through both Jeanty and Hampton, then I think it drops off a little bit talent-wise. I still think there's very good backs out there, but I just think there's a big gap, and I would be surprised if more than 2 backs go in the first round. I'd really be surprised. But Skattebo, he's stiff when changing directions or slashing. He's inconsistent in his pass protection sometimes. And they say the reason he's inconsistent there, the guy sometimes just tries to blow people up, and he ends up whiffing on the block. So I think he just needs to learn the patience, and not just try to go out there and blast somebody and blow them up. So, let them come to him, just stand your ground, hold your block, instead of going at somebody and trying to really blow them up. And then ball security, 10 fumbles over the last 3 seasons, definitely something he's going to have to work on. And then he lacks the long speed. He can get chased down by defenders, especially in the NFL when you're going to have faster, linebackers, corners, safeties, things like that. They're going to be able to chase this guy down. So I think he'll be a good serviceable back in the NFL, though. Another guy I picked, and this guy split a lot of time with Trayvon Henderson at Ohio State. But I think Judkins, who's 6 foot, 219 pounds. So, around the size of Hampton out of North Carolina. So this guy has quick and explosive footwork, great ability to jump gaps. He's very good. He's a good pass blocker. He has a long speed that's above average. So, hopefully he can get out there and get away from these guys. And he plays with toughness. The guy plays with grit. Played in the SEC for a while. He played 2 seasons at Ole Miss before he transferred to Ohio State. So he's played SEC ball. He's played Big Ten ball. So this guy knows what tough football, hard-nosed defense is about. Not heavily involved in the passing game at Ohio State. He runs with his weight forward at times, so it causes him to lose his balance. And then, like I said, he shared his workload with Trayvon Henderson. I think he's a good, day 2 pick, round 2 or 3. So we'll see where he goes. And then next guy, this is my sleeper right here. This guy right here. This guy has impressed me. This guy has explosive one-cut ability. This guy, he's patient and decisive behind the line. So he'll sit there and he'll, just let the play develop, and then he'll hit that hole and he's gone. Great vision, good vision. Good receiver out of the backfield. He makes plays after the catch, and he's a natural athlete. This guy went to Kansas as a 2-sport athlete, baseball and football. Played baseball for a couple years, and then he decided, I'm just going to focus on football now. So, and holds the Kansas records for rushing yards, touchdowns, 100-yard games. So he's a good guy. Couple of concerns. He has an upright running style. So, a lot of hit space up top. He's not really getting down there, and shrinking that body a little bit. So pass blocking, he can be overpowered at times. So something he needs to work on. And then limited yards after contact. So, and I think that's a lot because of the upright style that he runs with, I think if he was down more and more attacking like this, then maybe he's going to go through. I mean, it's 5'11", 215 pounds. So he's not a super small guy. So I think he would be a good guy. This is my sleeper. Like I said, I would love to see the Broncos take this guy, late second, third round pick, So we'll see what they do. That's my look at the running backs. There's plenty of other running backs out there. You got Travion Henderson, from Ohio State. I mean, there's just a plethora of running backs in this draft. So I think Denver does not need to panic. We don't need to reach for a back in round one or overdraft somebody in round two. Find the back that's going to fit your system, and that's really going to be there for you, and help you guys out. Also, I think what Denver could maybe do to help bolster this room, maybe bring in a free agent vet. There's a couple out there still. There's Dobbins, and that played with the Ravens last year, and then I think he's at the Ravens, either Ravens or Cowboys. I'm sorry, I'd have to look that up. And then there's Nick Chubb's out there too. After the draft, as those two are still sitting out there, maybe you take a look at them, check them both out physically, make sure they check clear medically and everything else, and bring them in to just give some leadership in that room. So. All right. Hey, guys, tomorrow we're going to look at tight ends. Come check it out. We'll look that's another area that Denver's going to have to, look at least bolster that room a little bit more. We got Evan Ingram. He's going to be a short-term fix. He's 32, I think, so he's getting up there. How many more years he has, I don't know. So we'll see where that goes, but we're going to talk tight ends tomorrow. So definitely check us out. Hey, let all your friends know. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter or X, whatever it's called. We're on TikTok. Look us up on the Mile High Podcast Network. Thanks again. I'm David with Mile High Podcast Network. Have a great day, and we will talk to you later.